Ryan Jarrell here for MMA News, and I'm excited to have my next guest on the program. It's Trey Ogden, who will be back in action on March the 23rd at UFC Vegas 88 when he takes on Kurt Holobaugh. Trey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Nice to talk to you again. It's been a while, and things have been going for really well for you at Marathon MMA. I mean, you got the coaching duties, your fight career is going fantastic. The gym keeps growing. Tell me what it's like just with that balance, with everything you have on your plate.
There is no balance in my life right now in this season. It's a lot. I got a lot on me, but I just get after it all day. So all the work that I'm doing, I find to be very meaningful. And so this is sort of like the season. I view this as like a season of just building. I'm just building what I'm building right now, sacrificing a lot to do it. It's all going well, and we're gonna keep building for a while.
Is it tricky though, like with all the attention that you have to give to the fighters that you have that have big aspirations for their own careers, and then you have your career that you're trying to manage as well. I mean, it must be like not enough hours in the day at times. I'd have to imagine.
Every day I feel that way for sure. But I wouldn't say that like it's necessarily tricky to balance like my career and my guy's career because really what I'm doing is mastering martial arts and teaching it. And so that's what I'm doing full time. The competition is a result of this. The results in competition are a result of that process. So what I'm doing is putting everything into that process. And so I'm training them, I'm training me, I'm studying for them, I'm studying for me, but really it's all the same patterns. We're trying to solve fighting. That's what we're going to do at Marathon MMA. We're going to solve the patterns of fighting and organize them. Um, and best I can tell, there's not really anyone in MMA that has necessarily written the playbook yet. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to solve these patterns.
I love it, man. On an average day, what time in the morning does your day start? What time does it finish?
I get to the gym at 6:40 in the morning, and I get home at like 8:30 at night. I go home for lunch between 1 and 3 hours a day, depending on the day. But when I'm home for lunch, I'm mostly working or studying, um, or doing something to like administratively for the gym. So they're long days, man.
Yeah, and I know you're a family man, right? How difficult is that
Yes,
being
sir.
away from your child? Like the family, I know that's a priority for you. How tricky is that to, make sure you spend the time with the family and the people that you love?
Well, that is the biggest sacrifice on this journey. My wife sacrifices alongside me in that a lot of my personal relationships sacrifice because of that, or personal friendships and stuff I can't keep up with the same. Um, and I carry those sacrifices into the cage with me. I make sure that I have maximum integrity for the work I'm doing because I'm sacrificing very important things. That is why I go home every day for lunch because when I get home, a lot of times I leave for the gym and my baby's asleep, and when I get home from the gym she's already asleep, so I come home during the lunch to make sure I see her, and her and my wife come to the gym a couple days a week as well. And as my baby's only 14 months old right now, but as she gets a little older I'm sure she'll spend a lot more time in the gym and kind of like grow up in the gym. So it's just a season, and so this is the season of sacrifice and focus. It's not permanent. um, Things will get better in that regard. There will be more balance in my life at a certain point, but not in the next few years. This is
Mhm.
a war path. I do view this not as a sport, like I've said before. I view this as combat, and I'm a combat general right now. I'm a frontline combat general, and so I'm giving that the respect and the focus that it deserves. And then we're gonna win the war and spend the rest of our lives in a nice, beautiful garden.
I love that mentality, man. Well, congratulations on all the success that you've been having
Thank
lately.
you, sir.
Before we transition, we talk about your upcoming fight and all that. I want to talk about a couple of guys in your gym. I've become fairly close with Garrett Armfield. I've been interviewing him for a while now. He had a big win his last time out
Yes, sir.
beating Brad Katona. And I feel like that had to have been his coming out party to like the mainstream MMA public, right? Like I think the hardcores, the people that follow the sport knew how good he was, but going out there and beating Katona the way that he did had to have been again like his coming out party. Tell me what that was like for you as a coach, as his friend, and what his ceiling is as a fighter.
Yeah, I was super proud of him. It was a nice feather in our cap. I'm very proud of the effort he put in camp, the focus he put in camp, the discipline he put in camp. Nothing I asked him to do in that camp was easy, and he rose to meet everything. He believed in himself. He believed in the team. He believed in the game plan, and he went and executed it. And had a career performance, man. And against a very, very skillful opponent, a very well-known opponent out of a very well-known camp in SPG and John Kavanaugh. And it was an honor to compete with them. And the sky is the limit for Garrett Armfield and many of my other fighters. It's really like, what will they put into it? If they're gonna set their own limits, they're gonna either reach for their maximum potential or they're gonna fall short in certain ways, and that's in their own heart to solve. But I obviously believe very highly in everyone on my team. I think that they can all climb to the top of the mountain. We're trying to climb Mount Everest, and everybody I got behind me can make it. They just have to put one foot in front of the other. And there's a lot of times in MMA, in this journey, in this lifestyle, that people get to little bridges, right? And some people get to a bridge and they cross the bridge, and then they get to another bridge and they cross the bridge. And no matter what that bridge is, they cross the bridge. If they're crossing the bridge and the bridge breaks, they take this long trek through the desert and get back up there and keep going. The guys who won't find a bridge, they can't cross or won't cross, because we can cross this. So that's the whole, and this is life. Fighting is a mirror for life. And so the guys who find bridges they're not willing to cross don't reach the peak of Everest. The guys that never deny, like the guys that are open-minded to their potential and open-minded to constantly crossing whatever the little desert is in front of you for that day, will. And it's that simple. Not easy, but simple.
Will we see Garrett back in the octagon soon? Will there be fight news announced at some point in the near future?
We're hoping. We don't have anything booked right now. I think the UFC is coming to St. Louis in May. That would be a fantastic situation for us. I would love to see him on that card. But I'm very excited to see what's next for him. I think what you're going to see out of Garrett now is that, I know he believed in himself, but when you beat Brad Katona in the way that he did, when you follow a game plan, execute it, and watch it work, and then watch your ability to compete at that level, something tells me Garrett's going to be on a higher frequency than we've ever seen him before. And that's very exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Is from a coaching perspective, and also, as an athlete yourself, how much would you say that the mental aspect, confidence as an athlete, as a fighter, that 90-10 that you hear a lot of people say, it's 90% mental, 10% physical. How would you rationalize that from your perspective?
Well, so, there's a lot of ways to think about that. So one thing is, if you're not in alignment with yourself on game day, you can impair your ability to operate at your potential, right? But so there is some of that in fighting where people, or they psych themselves out. They fight the opponent. They fight the name of the opponent, not the body. We call it fight the body, not the person. You can see fighters fall into narratives, good or bad. So they can fall into a narrative of thinking that this is how a fight's going to go, or like maybe you see like a great champion start to become a celebrity and follow this narrative of how they're this invincible fighter or whatever, and then all of a sudden you see them get beat, because they're not seeing reality anymore. In combat, you must train yourself to see reality. See, narratives in our sport are what sells the sport. This is what sells the fight. This is what the fans like. This is what the UFC promotion machine does, is it builds narratives to get interest in fights. The problem is when the combat warrior themselves is seeing narratives instead of just blatant reality, just simple, plain, what is in front of you. So you can see fighters impede their own selves with narratives and get in their head and underperform. That aside, though, when it comes to the word confidence, I'm just going to steal what John Danaher has said, because I think he said it best. And this pertains to my focus as a coach. So what is going to make you more confident? Well, that is gaining skills. So the more skillful you are, the more you feel your skill level increase, the more you're learning, the more you understand, the better decisions you make in your live rounds. The better decisions you make in your live rounds, the more often you're winning in your live rounds. The more you make conscious decisions in your live rounds and win because of that, see it work, the more confident you are, right? And so it's like confidence comes from skill. That's where confidence comes from. So if a fighter has confidence issues, they may not have their game plan organized. They may not understand fighting. A lot of fighters don't understand the technical science of fighting. They just fight hard and they're good at it. And they're athletic and that gets them far. But when you have like a Marcelo Garcia character, Marcelo Garcia is confident because he knows he has mastered the transitions of jiu-jitsu. That's why he's confident. So I think that skill breeds confidence, and the most important thing for a fighter going into a fight, so long as that they do their best, they don't underperform, like they're going to try their best, right? Is their skill set. How well do they fight? How well do they make decisions? So if you're an out of shape black belt, a CrossFit world champion white belt cannot get you tired. They can't put enough technical pressure on you to get you tired. So the number one thing that's going to matter for your conditioning in a fight is skill level and decision making. The number one thing that's going to matter with how a fight plays out is skill level and decision making. The number one thing that's going to influence your confidence is how you perceive your skill level and decision making in live round. So that's what we focus on at Marathon MMA. Again, we're here to solve fighting. We're going to solve the patterns of fighting, and we're going to take them to everybody.
I love
Like,
your mindset,
take them to
right?
everybody. Not necessarily give them away,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? There isn't a team in MMA right now that operates like, let's say, the Danaher Death Squad, like the jiu-jitsu team, where they operate a set of patterns and the whole team goes out and smashes world-class people at every weight class with the same curriculum. It's obvious. You can watch the patterns like, oh, they're ahead. They got ahead. Technically, they're ahead. There's individuals in MMA that are technically ahead, right? But there are no teams that are just like, oh, that team is known for whatever. They're just ahead of everybody in this thing. They all kind of fight to the same, like they're following the same kind of thing. And it's working. It's ahead of everyone. So no one in MMA right now, no coach, no team, and there is no unified playbook. Like it's
Yeah.
not there yet. And I realize that. I recognize that. And I'm trying to get ahead of the curve to get our curriculum sealed in, locked in, the science of fighting mastered, the patterns mastered, how to structure the training room so that the patterns are delivered the most efficiently. And what I want is to be the first team that just jumps ahead. I want to be 5 years ahead of everyone technically as a team, not as me as an individual, as a team. And that's what we're working on. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, again, man, I love your mindset. I love the way you can break things down and explain it from a coach's point of view as well as a fighter's. This might be a tough question to answer, right? Because right now you're still in your prime. You signed a new UFC deal. You have more fights in your future. But when it's all said and done, do you think what you accomplish as a coach will be more important, more impactful on you versus what you accomplished as a fighter?
Yes, absolutely. Coaching is very rewarding to me. Like, you know, the the experience of like UFC Abu Dhabi, Mike Breeden, round three, comeback, sensational comeback win, steals the crowd. The whole crowd's going crazy. Like I'm in the arena, I can feel it. Mike's on fire. We're connected. He smashes the dude. Makes a huge upset knockout. Like that is so exhilarating to me that I'm fulfilled for days. Just like if I fought myself. The difference being that I can share in that with like that experience and that excitement for Mike. So there's like a mutual thing there, right? But then there's also like I can only fight so often, but through my fighters, I can hit this at a much higher volume, and I can only fight for so long. But through my fighters, we can compete for a much longer time. So my fighters are more important than me as competitors. The way I see it, I don't necessarily view myself as a competitor. Like that isn't necessarily my priority. I don't want to say like I obviously take it very serious, but I view myself I view my competitive situation, let's call it, as me credentialing myself to understand the experience of fighting. I don't want to be a coach. A lot of coaches don't know what an MMA fight is. They think they do, but they don't. They haven't been in one. They don't know what a fight camp is. They don't know what a weight cut is. I live this life so that um, there's no theories on my mat. There's no theories coming from me as a coach. Everything coming from me is coming from direct experience. And I want to actually have the skill of fighting um, mastered myself so that I'm not teaching a theory in any way, shape, or form. So that is so it's all one mission to me, really. But one mission is obviously carries a lot higher longevity to it and impacts a lot more people.
Mhm.
So even when people like talk about like Trey Ogden, like I would rather just point the finger at marathon MMA. You know, Trey Ogden's boring. It's like what's happening at marathon MMA is what's important.
Well, clearly, man, you're doing things right. You mentioned Mike Breeden. I gotta ask. I was hoping that I was going to see some news. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I'm hoping that I missed it. But please tell me the UFC has re-signed him. Like, has that happened yet? Please tell me yes.
He has not been re-signed, but he is. I do believe that he is going to get straight back into the UFC. We're going to have to take a short notice fight and make weight on short notice
Mhm.
to get the contract. But they are interested. We that is the intention. We should see Mike Breeden back in the next, hopefully in less than 8 weeks in the UFC octagon. Um, but the current situation is that we're gonna have to step in and take a short notice fight.
Okay.
Um, is what it is. But could be worse.
As long as he's back in, because he definitely deserves it. That win that he had at UFC 294 is absolutely crazy. He deserves to be in the UFC, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Let's
Absolutely.
switch gears here to your career. I got to ask you real quick before we talk about this fight with Holobaugh. In November was the last time we saw you. Really impressive performance that you had against Nicholas Motta. Obviously, the very bizarre ending to the fight. Did you get your win bonus? Please tell me that they did something to compensate you.
Nope, I did not. Um, I wish that they would have. Uh, I I love the UFC, and I would consider myself a company man. I'm here for the mission, you know. Um, but I would like what I want is to be able to say that they did and that everything got taken care of. But they didn't. I don't, we'll see how my next fight plays out and what happens. Part of the problem is that happened before Thanksgiving week, the week before Thanksgiving, and so I feel like the holidays just like killed my like it just got swept under the rug and just didn't get the attention it deserved because of that. It will be interesting to me to see when I'm in Vegas after this next fight and I get in the media room and this is an obvious question that's going to be asked to me and light will be brought to this issue again. Then maybe they will. Maybe they will go back and compensate me for it because they absolutely should.
I think you've seen this in the past too. If enough media guys or if the right media person presents it to Dana the right way, he'll probably be like, "Yeah, we need to pay him." You're right, and we've seen it in the past, so hopefully that happens for you this time.
It's an obvious move,
Yeah.
like obvious to the fans, obvious to the media. Anyone that reviews this, it's obvious. My question is, so I was told that because we did formally ask for the money, and I was told that it was going to get escalated to Dana's desk and sitting on his desk. So I just don't think it got the proper attention it needed. I don't think that there was like a hard decision made not to pay me. I just think it got lost in the shuffle.
Mhm.
And so I'm hopeful that it will come back to me. But I do believe that in this game, if you just continue to deposit in the bank, that eventually the game will reward you. And so, the way I've told other people this is I could see where it's like maybe I never get that 12,000 or whatever win purse, and that sucks. But then I have a great performance, and there's a fight of the night bonus on the line or performance bonus on
Mhm.
the line. It's between me and one other person.
Yeah.
I feel like the gravity of the fight god's karma. I'm more likely to get that 50K and be paid back, you know, multiple times over again. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So far, I haven't found a bridge I'm not willing to cross. So we're going to cross it and keep going. And I believe that good things will come to me.
Yeah, no doubt. Like attracts like, so just manifest it, and you should have hopefully a nice payday around the corner, my man. As far as that fight though with Mota, you have to be happy about your performance in there, regardless of what happened with that weird ending. You looked great. So looking back on it
Thank
now,
you.
like you must be very pleased with what you did to go in there and show the world your overall skill set.
Yeah, I thought it was one of my best performances. I felt like the three fights in the UFC leading up to that wasn't necessarily my style. And there were like a few comments made that really bothered me. One of them was in the Bahamondes fight, the commentary. Daniel Cormier said, was talking about my age or whatever, my point in my career, and he was like, "This may just be who Trey Ogden is. Like, you just may be seeing like who he is," and that really bothered me because I was like, like this isn't these three fights that I've had in the UFC aren't really indicative of who I am, as this isn't really my style. I don't know why I got into this like kind of point fight and kickboxing style for a minute, but that's not really who I am at my core. So when I heard that, I was like, I still have one more fight on my contract. I'm going to go out there. And if it's the last fight I have, I want to show them, no, this is who I am. This is who I really am. This is how I fight. This is how I believe you should fight or believe I should fight. And then the other thing was I got called a point fighter. I was told that I was becoming known or had become known as a point fighter, and that really was like one of the most offensive things ever said to me. Um, I live and die by the sword. I believe in the finish. I hate point scoring and like I hate people who play the points in jiu-jitsu. I don't like just trying to win on the judges' scorecards. To me, the point of combat is to take the opponent out. Period. That's it at all costs. That's how you win. Um, so with those two things in mind, I just wanted to go out there and fight true to myself, fight true to my style, and put my opponent away. And I did every single thing I could in my power to make that happen. And obviously, that is what was going to happen had Beltran not stopped the fight. So I'm very happy with that. And now I'm going to ride that momentum in and make sure that that is how I fight moving forward, and that I do take all my opponents out, and that I am mixing up the striking with the grappling.
And you've had nothing but tough opponents since you've been in the UFC now, and you got the same thing here with Kurt Holobaugh again. March 23rd, UFC Vegas 88. You're back at the Apex. You're facing the guy that just won the most recent season of the Ultimate Fighter. He's a warrior. He comes in and he brings it. And I actually had the pleasure to interview him leading up to this fight, and he told me that he feels like your jujitsu on the ground is going to kind of cancel one another out. Do you agree with that when you look at the style that he brings versus you? Like, what do you think we're going to see here in this fight?
We'll see. We'll see. I think that I don't want to say too much, Obviously I have a style. Obviously he knows that. But I think that in an overall sense that Kurt's style's response to my style will be to get forceful. I think he will be kind of a brute and kind of forceful. And when he gets forceful and he gets in that mode, he will make mistakes. He makes mistakes every fight. He gets behind his opponent in every fight. You can't do that with me. I know he has this thought that he's gonna get taken down and get up. Dude, there's no room for error here. You get taken down, you're not getting up. You make a mistake on the ground, I'm gonna take your position. You won't get your position back. Go watch my fights. Um, that's it, man. I'm gonna say technical and make zero mistakes. I don't believe he's as skillful as me, and he will have to try to force things. And when he does, he'll make mistakes. And when he makes those mistakes, I'll do the correct thing.
We know he's got a lot of power on the feet, as do you. If this does take place on the feet and this turns into be a stand-up battle, how do you like that? Is that something that you feel like, leans towards you and your skill set, or do you feel like it might be better just to get him to the ground?
Well, I've proven that I can kickbox with anyone in the world. I outstruck Daniel Zaluber for 15 minutes straight. He had almost no answers for me. Um, I didn't have an amazing fight with Bahamondes, but I was never hurt. I never got hit clean. He's both these two guys are way better strikers than Kurt Holobaugh, way more technical, way more options, way better setups. They're both I think 6'2" and 6'3". Kurt Holobaugh is my height. They're both faster than Kurt Holobaugh, so I can strike with him. Obviously, I think that he needs that to happen to even have a chance. He needs to make some kind of ugly boxing, clinch, fighting, brawling sort of situation. Um, you know, I don't want to just be like, hey, I'm looking to go out there and take him down, wink, wink. But yeah, I think that he ends up on his back in every single fight. Um, the chances that he can stop me from taking him down, or that he will stop me from taking him down, are probably zero. Um, and once I'm on top of him, he's gonna be he will understand that our jiu-jitsu is not equal, brother.
Official prediction. What do you see as far as the finish to this fight? If it is finished, or is it going the distance?
I think I'll rear naked choke him in the second round.
And this is the first fight on your new deal, right? So you still have three more after this. Are you hoping to fight three more times this year, or you want to space it out a little bit?
Um, I don't think I'll get four in this year. It doesn't seem like anyone's getting four in right now. The roster's a little big, so but you know, if I fight 2 to 3 times a year, that's good. It really looks to me the challenge with me now is you have to book me around my guys, and I don't want to move my I don't want to, you know, I make a living as a coach at the gym, you know, Marathon MMA. I run that gym full time. I teach full time. I teach jujitsu classes to non-competitors and alike, you know. Uh, that is I earn enough living that I don't necessarily need to fight as often as my like fighters do. So I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be prioritized over them, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I want their careers, their fight timing to be prioritized over me. So it's just when we can fit me in, when it works out for the UFC and what it looks like. But you know, as long as the opponent and the zeros on the paper match, I'm here to fight. So let's do it.
Awesome, man. Well, looking forward to a fun and exciting 2024 for you, Trey. Last thing for me before we get out of here. This is your fourth fight out of the last five at the Apex. Excited about that? Are you a little disappointed? What's your thought as far as fighting at the Apex?
My thought as far as fighting at this point in my life is that it is combat. I'm a soldier. I have a mission, and my mission is to take my opponent out, cash the checks, and bring it home to my family. That's it, bro. I don't care. You could be in my backyard if you're writing a check. I don't care. You know, it doesn't make a difference to me if it's in an arena. The arenas are awesome. I love the energy. I'm down to fight in an arena. It doesn't make a difference to me if it's at the Apex. I like the Apex too. I like the intimacy of it. You know, there's not as many people there live, but the 300 people or 250 people that are there live, I still want to perform for them to a degree. You know, because if they're closer, it's more intimate. They're like right there. You know, and so that's a cool experience for the fans too. But I don't even consider it. I don't even think about it at all. All I'm thinking about is preparing for my mission, executing my mission. It is my responsibility to my family at this point. That's just how I view it. This is how I bring food home. So
Can't wait to see you back in there, man. Again, March the 23rd, UFC Vegas 88. Trey Ogden meets Kurt Holobaugh in a lightweight bout. Great talking to you again. Again, it's been far too long between this interview and our last one. So hopefully we can chat again at some point here in 2024. Before we do sign off here, Trey, I want to give you the floor. If there's anyone you want to thank, anything you want to plug, floor is yours.
hey man, it's Marathon MMA. You can find me at marathon underscore MMA on Instagram and X. I'm trying to get my X following up. I think I have like 15 followers. Help me out, guys. Follow me on X. I want to transfer my following from uh, Instagram to the land of the free and X. I believe in what Elon's doing with the free speech. I hate Instagram. I pushed Instagram so hard. I used to love their model, but I feel like I can't say certain things on Instagram. I get flagged for stupid things I shouldn't be flagged for. Um, I'm over it. I'm moving to X. So try to follow me on X, marathon underscore MMA. And then on Instagram, you can follow our gym and our team at marathon MMA underscore academy. So check us out.